Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session dedicated to Academic Integrity Week. We're really thankful that you joined our meeting. Thank you, everyone. My name is Ainur. I'm Minister of Justice and Security. And now, Miriam.
Thank you so much, Nur. So as the Minister of Education in student government, I would like to thank all of you for attending our session. And I believe that the session will be essential in your future academic endeavors. And after the session, you will be able to acquire some special food for thought. And as a student government, Minister of Education, recently we have received so many misconduct cases, unfortunately. Therefore, we believe that this session will be really useful in preventing academic integrity violation. So good luck and enjoy. And again, we also would like to express our appreciation to Turnitin competent representation.
What we're going to be talking about today is obviously very much to do with the product that you're using within the university, and to understand a little bit more about it. Now, there aren't going to be many slides today, so for those of you that attended the session on Wednesday, there was a lot more slides and a lot more questions. Today, we're not going to spend too much time in slides. It's going to be more about me showing you kind of how the system works, but also as well, just helping you understand how that relates to your studies. So the agenda for today is just to understand what Turnitin Feedback Studio is. That's the product that you use at Nazarbayev. The main thing that I want you to understand from today is how you interpret the similarity reports, but I also want you to understand a little bit about some of the myths and misconceptions that you may have around Turnitin. Throughout the whole session today, if you have any questions, please don't wait till the end. Just ask a question if you have one. I want to encourage you to, speak up. If you have a question, you can, it's not interrupting me. It's perfectly fine. Just ask a question. You can put it in the chat, or you can unmute your microphone and ask it directly. So for those of you that weren't able to attend on Wednesday, who haven't met me before, my name is Jason Gibson. I'm a senior professional services consultant at Turnitin. I've been with the company for quite some time. In the world of software, over 6 years is quite a long time. And I work with our users across the world. So I work with customers in Europe, so Central, Eastern, and Western Europe. I work in Central Asia. Obviously, I work with our users in places like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Russia, and various different places, Georgia as well. I work with a lot of our customers in Scandinavia, particularly in Iceland, and then spread out as well. I also assist with our users in the Middle East, in South Africa, and the UK as well. I personally am based in Newcastle. One of our largest offices at Turnitin is actually in Newcastle in the UK. I mentioned this on Wednesday. Up until about 2 weeks ago, not many people knew where Newcastle was. And then all of a sudden, we had a very popular soccer team that was on the media around the world. So now it seems everyone knows where we are. So if you're ever in Newcastle, if you're ever in the UK, our door is always open. So please feel free to, send us an email, come and say hello. Actually, we can give you a tour around the office and you can see everyone in action. And obviously it'd be great to meet you all in person at some point as well. So hopefully in 2022, we can host some events in Kazakhstan, at Nazarbayev University, or various other universities, and we can have a chat in person. Now, really, really briefly, I just want to explain a little bit about Turnitin, more to do with the similarity check. So the first thing to understand is that it is a similarity check. So when we check against this database, so the database that we have, these slides are slightly out of date. There was around about 1.6 billion student papers in our database. There's around about 110 billion web pages. So that's archived web pages, old and new, because obviously the internet changes, web pages change, the content changes as you move forward. And then we have close to 100 million published journals. So from the likes of Elsevier, Wiley, Springer, IEEE, and various different other companies like Taylor and Francis, and many, 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 many other publishers. And our content isn't just in English. Our content is in Russian, it's in Kazakh, it's in Japanese, Spanish, French, German, Italian, everything you can think of. And within our databases, we have the top 95% of the top 100,000 or 10,000 impact factor journals. So basically the top level journals that people would use for research. So if you think about all of that content, that amount of content is 8 petabytes, just over 8 petabytes. So it's a lot of content. And if you think about how much that is in relative terms, to give you an idea of what 8 petabytes would be, for those of you that aren't familiar with a file or a storage that size, if you had a camera, if anyone has a GoPro, you'll know how easy it is to fill up data very quickly on a GoPro. Imagine you film something in HD for 100 years non-stop. That's how long, that's how, like basically that amount of time, all that recording, that would be about 8 petabytes. So if you just left a camera, it obviously have to be plugged in, I guess, for 100 years, and you just let it record, that's how much 8 petabytes is. Every single time you do a check with Turnitin, it's checking against all of that content. So it's a lot of content, and we do it within a matter of seconds. So I'm going to go into the system in a second, but what I want you to understand as you look at this and as you get reports from Turnitin, if you think about how much data there is, it's very unlikely that you're going to write something that is completely original. So the best example I can think of to explain that, has anyone here ever heard of someone called Sir Ken Robinson? Has anyone ever heard of him? I'm guessing that's a no. So Sir Ken Robinson, he is a very, very, very smart gentleman. Basically, he was a thought leader in creativity and how to teach creativity within an academic setting. Sadly, he passed away a couple of years ago. He's a very smart man. If you look online and look up Sir Ken Robinson, look at his TED Talks and so on, he's got some very interesting things to say. One of the most important things that he ever said that has resonated with me for a long time is about original ideas. Now, if you think about writing an essay, it's not that you are being asked to reinvent an entire subject. So for example, if I told you to, write an essay about the wheel, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's pretty perfect as it is. I mean, you could probably make it more circular if you wanted to be scientifically perfect. You could make it an exact circle. Apart from that, you can't really improve on it. So how on earth would you write something about the wheel that is original? Well, imagine you'd never heard of a wheel before, and I got you to write about a wheel. The first time you learn about the wheel, it's an original idea because it's new to you. And the best way that Sir Ken describes this is an original idea doesn't have to be original to the world. It just has to be original to you. And you have to just use that to support your conversation. So just because it's been said before doesn't mean you can't use it. So every time I ask someone to write about World War II, they can't reinvent what happened in World War II. They just have to give their own opinion of it, use their own story. The facts still have to be correct. The evidence still has to be the same. Everyone else has probably said that before. So if you think of it like that, every time you upload something where you're doing work on a familiar subject, there is going to be similarity. There's a reason why it's not called a plagiarism check. The reason it's not called a plagiarism check is because Turnitin is not showing plagiarism. Plagiarism is defined by what you see in the Similarity Report. So let's have a look at a Similarity Report right now and see what we can find. So this is a view from an instructor, as we would say at Turnitin. So if we open this up, we can see we've got a submission here. Now, this is the view that an instructor would have. I'll show you what you would have as a student soon, just to give you an idea. Now, first thing you'll notice is obviously there is a lot of highlights. If we scroll through, we can see a lot of things are highlighted. However, some things aren't. Now, the way that your instructor will navigate the report and you will navigate the report is probably slightly different. Some people will open up the Similarity Report straight away. So they will see all of this information. Basically, they'll see which source it came from, and also they'll see it from largest to smallest. You don't have to do it that way. You could actually just open up, click on the match here and see, okay, this is the glimpse view. So this is where this is coming from. Let's have a look at this one. Okay, that's coming from here, and that's what it says before. But if you want to see it in a bit more depth, then obviously you can open up this and you can navigate the report by clicking on the sources. So if I said I want to see where Rewilding Britain is, we can take that up to here. If I want to see the Smithsonian source, that's down here. Wiley is here, and the Telegraph is here. Now, first things first, when a Similarity Report is first generated, there are some settings applied to it. So if you upload a document and the instructor has set your class up to exclude things like quotes or the bibliography, that's going to take those out of the report. So if I put those back in and apply those changes, we can see it's now 81%. And if I scroll down, I can see we've got this section being included and also words like rewilding and natural. If I switch that back off, it takes it back down to 80, and you can see those words are gone, and this section is excluded. So that's really important because obviously we want to remove anything that could potentially be what we call a false positive. So just to make sure that we know exactly what's going on. The next thing is obviously we have the various different sources and we can see where they come from. So you can do this as a student as well. The only thing you can't do as a student is exclude sources. Now that's something an instructor will do, and I'll explain that in a moment. But the first thing we'll do is, let's say we look at this section from the Telegraph, which is this source here. Now we've got this big old chunk of text, and it's showing that it's matching to the Telegraph. The Telegraph is a newspaper in the UK, not really a scientific journal, probably not where I'd want to see this source come from. Maybe it wasn't from the Telegraph originally, maybe it came from somewhere else. So for us to find that, what we'll do is we'll click this match breakdown, and that will show us all of the other sources or sections of this that also appear. So right now we can see that this is coming from the Telegraph and a website called Chez Facile, and it's just a load of random words. So basically it's not really a direct match, it's just coincidental. This is just probably a website that has various different headlines, so it's very unlikely that we took it from there. But what this does tell us is that this section only appears in the Telegraph, and for us, if it's something that's studied regularly and it's a very common article, then it would be pretty strange that there's only one source available in our entire database. Also, it's not matching to any scientific content. So what you could do is, as a student right now, you get your report back and you decide, hey, okay, this is only matching to here, and I know that's where I got it from, but I thought maybe it was being used elsewhere. Because you could almost use Turnitin like a search to see where else that information is being used. So it's only matching to there. So what I could do now as a student is I could go back to my original document, find this section, and maybe go to a different website. Maybe go and read a journal, read a paper about what it is that people think about having a more biodiverse area. And by biodiverse, obviously we mean more flora and fauna, so more animals, more plant life that obviously have been wiped out, which I'm sure obviously you'll all be aware of as well. It happens a lot across the world. So I could go and find something that's more reliable. I could replace that, I could cite it, and then put it in my document. Perfect. Now, the other thing that you'll notice is that some of this text has citations, these two pieces here, and some of it doesn't. Now, as an instructor, what they will do is they will look at your paper and they will see, okay, this section here is cited. So this bit here that's being picked up, as an instructor, I am going to click on this and I am going to exclude it. Now, this section is perfect because it is actually cited and it does match to this Charles Wilson journal, which is brilliant. That's exactly where we expected it to see. So let's get rid of all of this. I'm going to exclude all of that. Now that takes us down to 63%. So really, really important. When you first upload your document, things like this aren't excluded. Once again, we're not giving you a plagiarism percentage, we're giving you a similarity percentage. How many people here have been told, or actually maybe the question is this, how many of you think there is a good level of similarity or a good percentage and a bad percentage? Who thinks that there's a good and a bad percentage?
I think less than 10%, maybe. It's a good percentage.
Yeah, could be. So if we said that, you know, like 5% is good and 10% is bad, or anything over 10% is bad. Well, it's an interesting point because if you think about what we're actually talking about here, when we talk about the percentages and we talk about, you know, the different elements of the tool, let's give an example. So the paper that we have in front of us right now, that is obviously quite high. It's, you know, it's 63% right now. So we could say that that is high. Now, let's say that all 63% of that document was cited. So it's all perfectly cited. There's no issues with it whatsoever. You know, the document is absolutely perfect. And it's 63%. Would you say that's bad?
But shouldn't the person paraphrase?
So I think it really depends, like whether you are using quotation, or whether you are formulating someone's idea in your own like way. For example, also like I'm in biological major and we are writing lab reports, and of course we all have the same manual.
Yeah.
In the for some the limit for our lab report is 30%. And for some courses, it is of course a higher, but for biology students, it is a limit because it is hard to paraphrase the manual, the steps, the procedure.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to be doing the same thing as everyone else because you'd be expected to be doing the same thing. Otherwise, you'd be doing something potentially wrong if you're all doing, you know, the same report on the same thing. So there is a good reason and a bad reason for limits. So the first thing I want to say is there's no such thing as a good or a bad similarity percentage. So if you think about it like this is 63%. Now, obviously we still have some sections of text that are uncited. There's no citations, there's no paraphrasing. So that's obviously a problem. But if we think about it like this, I say to you, the limit is 25%. All right. So anything under 25% is good. Anything over 25% is bad. You upload something that is 10%, but all 10% of that match is completely plagiarized. You've literally ripped it off from Wikipedia word for word. Someone else uploads something that's 26%. It's perfectly cited, it's paraphrased well, but Turnitin's still picking everything up because it should do. Technically, the person who did the 26% is wrong, and the person who did the 10% is right. Can you see the problem? We're now basically telling you, because of the limit, to reduce the amount of information that you've put in your document, or potentially rewrite it to a point where it almost maybe doesn't make sense. So we're telling you to remove citations. We're telling you to remove information purely to hit a number. Now, not all students will do this, obviously, but some students, if I say to you there is a barrier and I say you have to do this, and this is your limit, if you've written an amazing essay or you've done an amazing report and it's still too high, you'll do whatever it takes to get it below the number. What's a better approach is explaining to your instructor why that is the percentage. Now, obviously, there is nothing wrong with an instructor saying, okay, you can only have this many external sources, and it can only be 25% of your paper can be made up of external sources. Now, that's fine, but remember there's also common knowledge. So I'm writing an article about, I'll use the same example again. I'm writing an article about World War II. I might have a few citations in there that equal 25% of my paper. But then every time I say World War II began in 1939, and if I mention, various different things that happened in World War II, I don't have to cite those because that's just what happened. That's going to be picked up every single time because someone else will have said that. Every single student in the world that's writing about World War II has probably said when it began, and there's going to be a lot of people who will say it the same. So there's your problem. So we still have to, as an instructor, we still have to think about the pressure that we put on students when we give these numbers. The best thing to do is to say it should be around this number. We will exclude common sources and we will exclude anything that's cited. Then it's fine. Because technically, what we're saying here is that the true thing we're looking for here is plagiarism. If there is any plagiarism, that should be 0. The plagiarism should be 0. They shouldn't allow 1% or 2% or 3% or 4% of uncited material that's unparaphrased for no reason. To obviously, make sure that we have a reason why. And obviously, if we're just saying it has to be a certain number regardless, then we have to explain that. Now, obviously, plagiarism should be a 0 tolerance policy. You shouldn't be allowed to do that because obviously we explained on Wednesday why it's so important not to do that. Obviously, this paragraph here could have been much better paraphrased. It wasn't paraphrased at all, but this could be a student who's just started university. It could be their first year of university. Now, obviously, we have a lot of other pieces of text here. This section here, not paraphrased, not cited. This section here, not paraphrased, not cited. This section here, not paraphrased, not cited. So there's a lot of content in this paper that is unoriginal. So obviously this is too high because if it was 80% and it wasn't something like, a law exam or something like that, that would be quite high because we would expect to see some original work. Now, after this, obviously what we can see here is that we still have obviously a lot of uncited material. We have this section here that is cited. But what we do find sometimes is students will do things, to get the limit down. Now you don't have to admit this, but I'm just going to ask a question. Who here has ever heard that you can replace letters from a different alphabet with the Latin alphabet to trick the system? So for example, I could put in a Cyrillic letter that looks the same as an R, and the system will think that it's spelled incorrectly, and then the system won't pick it up. Who has heard that that works for Turnitin? Yeah, so we've got a couple of people. No, yeah. A few people have heard that one, yeah. It's almost like I already know what people do. Basically, if you think you know something that Turnitin won't pick up, I'm very sad to say that it doesn't work. First of all, it doesn't work anyway. So the system will just think, that looks like an R. I think that's an R. So the system will just ignore it anyway. Or that's an O. It might be a Cyrillic O, but it looks like a Latin O. I think that's spelled right. So the system doesn't care. The other thing that it does is it actually picks it up anyway. So let's have a look. For an instructor, you won't see this as a student, but I'm just letting you know we can see it. So I click on this little flag icon and I click replace characters. So first of all, there's a couple up here, and then there's a few around here. So all of these R's are not actually R's. You'll probably recognize them. So technically this says Gabbits, technically. So, you know, it looks like it from a distance, but obviously up close, it's very obvious. Now, our system picks it up anyway. So all we now see is a ton of red squares, and you now look incredibly guilty because we've just realized that you're deliberately trying to cheat the system, but it doesn't work. So you can spend that time typing in a different alphabet. All it does is make it very obvious that you tried to cheat. With the Similarity Report, we don't know. We will obviously ask questions. We will discuss it with you. We will try and figure out how this happened. Do you need help with your citations? With this, if we see this, we know what you did. It's very obvious. Let's try another one. Let's use the Similarity Report a second, and let's just open this up. So we'll just use this full source view here. Now, can anyone think about what looks odd here? This is the section that the student wrote, that I wrote. This bit's all highlighted, and this is the section from the actual website. Can anyone think about what's wrong with that? Why does it not look right? Is there something missing? Or did everyone just have a heart attack because everyone just realized that they've tried to replace Russian letters with Latin letters before and you all passed out? I hope not. So there's no paraphrasing. It looks like it, doesn't it? But there's not. So if you look at this sentence, it says European brown bears have been extinct in Britain since at least. The exact same sentence appears here, but it has not been picked up. So let's ask another question. Who here has ever heard that you can put white text in between words to trick the system? Has anyone heard that before? So you can put like a white letter in between each word and then the system will be tricked. Has anyone heard that before? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have heard that. Some people haven't. It's funny because some people haven't because they don't care to learn it. Some people have because they hear about it from their friends or their peers. If we go back to Wednesday, when you hear people talking about things like this, that's because they've tried to do it and they are deliberately trying to commit academic misconduct. They're trying to get around doing the work. Doing this trick, what it will do is it will reduce your word count, and it will also get around the similarity detection, because our system now thinks that this says, basically our system thinks that this is one giant word, so it can't pick up the similarity. However, we have a flag for that. So we now know that you have a white letter that's an I in between each one of those. There are 10 in total, and we can see it straight away. So you may have got around the similarity detection, but we now know that you intentionally tried to cheat. So you didn't make a mistake. You didn't forget to do something. You just all of a sudden decided putting white letters in between each word was a good idea. This goes from, hey, we need to teach this person how to do paraphrasing. We need to help this person learn how to cite, to you are deliberately trying to cheat. There is a very different punishment in your policy for deliberate attempts to a learning outcome. Some people need extra coaching. This person would potentially be kicked out because they're deliberately trying to do this. They haven't accidentally done something. There's nothing we can teach this person apart from that this is wrong and don't do it again. And you will probably lose points on your assignment. You may have to redo the whole thing. So it doesn't work. Just so you know. So I wanted to highlight this just so you're aware. You as a student, you won't see this when you log into your account, and I'll show you what it looks like. But it's just so you know that we are looking at that sort of thing. We also already have a system that is going to detect if you've used a website. They're called Quillbots, basically where you put a paragraph from a source into the website and it will change the words for you. our system is already about to release a feature that detects that as well in the exact same way. So there are a lot of things that you can do to try and cheat the system, but it takes a lot of effort. It's actually genuinely easier to study and learn the information you need to produce a good quality essay. That is genuinely easier than trying to figure out how to cheat our system. We have huge teams of engineers that are constantly adjusting our algorithm. It's incredibly clever. We use things like artificial intelligence. So it's always one step ahead. So what I want you to do is just focus on writing a good essay. What we're going to look at when we open this up is we're going to go, okay, you know what? Apart from, let's imagine this didn't happen. This section here, it's cited. It's great. They've used a really good site. You know, the Smithsonian, it's also appearing a little bit in the National Geographic as well. So we're going to exclude all of that information. So we're actually now down to 49%. So sadly, there is still 49% of this paper that is unoriginal. So you as a student, you know this because you would be able to go through and you would go, you know what? I forgot to put a citation here. That's why in Turnitin, your instructor can allow you to resubmit your document and do it again and make changes. Everyone has probably heard the phrase that it's good to fail fast and fail often because you learn from failure. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. The worst thing you can do is be so afraid to make a mistake that you don't try hard enough. Don't worry about making a mistake. If you forget a citation, re-upload your work with the correct citation. If you haven't paraphrased and the system has picked it up word for word, rewrite it, paraphrase it, put it into your own ideas. That's super important. Now, there is also a really cool feature because a lot of you will be submitting in English. There is a really cool feature called ETS, which you can enable. And what this will actually do is it will give you feedback on your grammar, spelling, style. And if you look, it's picked up quite a few things here. So it said you may need to use an article before this word. Consider using the article the, or this is a fragmented sentence. There's a spelling mistake here because obviously it's a Russian letter. We have another fragmented one. We have a possessive noun. So we need to put an apostrophe after that. So it gives you a lot of information to help you. The idea of Turnitin is not to catch you plagiarizing. The idea of Turnitin is to give you the information so you can write a really good essay. You can see where you've cited, where you haven't. You can see where the information is coming from because of the size of our database. You can see all of that information. It's going to make your life so much easier because if you forget, oh, where did I see that information? I forgot to cite it. You can upload it to Turnitin, it will pick it up, and then you can go, it was that website, and then you'll make a citation for that or that publication. It's going to be super useful. Turnitin is a learning tool for a reason. A really cool thing as well is your instructors will actually give you feedback in here. So you might now and again notice that there is a highlight over your work and they have left a comment and it says this needs to be cited. And they might highlight that in blue, for example. Or they might highlight a piece of work like this and they might use a quick mark, which is a comment that you've used before. So we can go in here, choose one of these. Let's go with this one. And we can have a comment in here to say that there's no citation. Let's make that pink. So you'll also get feedback from your instructor in here. You'll get your grades. So they'll be able to tell you, what grade you got. You'll be able to tell you what comments you have. They might even leave you a voice message in here for you to listen to. So it's not just about the similarity, it's also about how your instructors can guide you. Pay attention to those bits of feedback. And if there are any instructors on here, leave feedback for students. They do want it. I'm sure everyone in here who's listening to this, you would love to get feedback from your instructor, specifically on what you could do better. I mentioned on Wednesday about that feedback loop. The Similarity Report on its own is a feedback loop. It's telling you what you've written, where it come from, and potentially you could find something better, or you could, rewrite it a little bit. Now, that is basically, oh, hang on. How can we use Turnitin to check our works before submitting our assignments? Okay, so there's a question here about how you can use Turnitin to check your work before you submit to an assignment, because after submitting through Moodle, you can't re-upload. So this is obviously a conversation to have with your instructor, but your instructor can allow resubmissions. So that means that you can upload your document, you can check it to the assignment, and then you can make changes and re-upload it and check it again within the same assignment. It won't match against itself, so it won't end up being 99%. So don't worry about that. It's something that you can just mention to your instructor and just say, hey, you can allow resubmissions. As a company and as someone who trains people every day, I have training sessions today with universities, it's super important that people understand that allowing resubmissions is very important, because it allows you to make a mistake. It allows you to learn and make adjustments, just like anyone else would in real life. If you think about it this way, if you were a race car driver and you were only allowed to do one lap of the track, there's probably a pretty high chance that you're going to crash, because you would have to do everything you can in that one attempt. But normally what they do is they'll do one lap to figure out the track, to figure out what they need. They'll get feedback from their engineer, and then they'll go out again, and then they'll go faster and they'll be better. It's exactly the same process. If you're running on a track, you might do one lap to figure out how fast you need to go, how fast you need to pace yourself. Then the next time you can go all out, because you know how fast you can go and where you need to save energy and so on. It's the same process no matter what you do, that practice feedback loop. So definitely recommend that your instructor allows resubmissions. Obviously, it depends on the type of assignment, but it's something that I would definitely recommend. Brilliant. Okay, so that brings us pretty much to the end of the session. I just want to ask, before we finish, does anyone have any questions about the Similarity Report? Any questions about what, how it works? Does anyone have any questions whatsoever? Please feel free to ask. Hopefully, if you were worried about using Turnitin in the past, it's made you feel a little bit more comfortable. Like I say, our aim is not to catch you plagiarizing. Our aim is to help you become better writers. That's literally why we designed this platform. That's why you're allowed to get feedback from your instructor, and that's why you're allowed to re-upload and various different things. So it's nothing to be afraid of. It is just a similarity check. It's not a plagiarism check. That's for your instructor to make a judgment call on. So if there are no citations and no paraphrasing, then maybe they might ask you a few questions. They might think you've plagiarized, but could still be something you need to learn.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. I have one question. I think it might be a little bit off topic, but I'm interested about the Turnitin company, how it was based, how people came to the idea that there needs to be a company to detect plagiarism. I'm interested in it.
It's actually a very interesting story. So back in 1998, before there was Google, Wikipedia, everything else, there was a couple of PhD candidates in UC Berkeley in the United States. And the product actually started off as a peer review tool for PhDs. So, when you go through the peer review process, they built a platform to do that. What they started to realize when they had work being uploaded was that a lot of the times there would be work that would be the same, or there'd be sections of the work that would be the same. So they realized that they needed to build a tool that could check for collusion, figure out, hey, where did they get this information from? And they built what we call a crawler. And the crawler goes to the internet, and then it looks at where the content came from and matches it to what is in the actual paper itself. And then we started to look at comparing it from one submission to another. So from one PhD to another PhD. By early 2000s, there was a huge problem, because all of a sudden Google came out and Wikipedia, people could all of a sudden go online, type in a question and find tons of information. And they could just copy and paste it and put it in their essay. And at the time, there was nothing to check for that. We kind of already had a ready-made system, and then it will obviously adapt. So we changed it a little bit, updated our algorithms, and then we were able to check against, the internet and other tools. And then around about 2011, 2012, we signed an agreement with Crossref, which is a large group of publishers, to help prevent collusion and plagiarism in research. So we wanted to do that as well. It's interesting because there's actually a question here. Does Turnitin remember previous work? For example, if one student checked their work from another university professor, will it then next time look at it as 100% similarity? Yes, it does. So that is another thing that we did. So we realized that people were doing something called self-plagiarism, which is obviously, it's interesting because I mentioned that in Wednesday's session where people were self-citing their works. They were saying, hey, here's a piece of research that proves my point. It just so happens to be my research. But, uploading your own work again can be self-plagiarism. It depends on the situation. So if you're told, I need you to write a new assignment about this topic, and you go, I already wrote one about this last year, I'm going to reuse that same one. You can't do that. You can cite elements of that information, and then you have to find new information and new ways to explain what you've talked about, and basically rewrite your essay. So you can't just re-upload the same document. It can be self-plagiarism. So if you upload something to one assignment and then to another assignment, it will match against itself. So if it's the same assignment, so say I do one attempt and then I upload again to the exact same place, then it won't match against itself because that will overwrite the previous one. So you don't need to worry about that. But just to continue on, Christina, the company has actually changed a lot in that time. So from 1998 to now, a lot of other things have happened. So in 2015, we launched what is now called Turnitin Feedback Studio, because we realized based on research that we couldn't just give people a similarity report and hope that they learn from it. We realized that the best way to tackle plagiarism and unoriginal content was to allow instructors to give feedback so that people could learn from the feedback. So they could say, okay, now I can see I missed a citation, but now my instructor is telling me what you need to do is you need to rewrite this in your own words and cite this information. And then they could maybe put a link in to show them how to do citations. And that changed how much people plagiarized a lot and how much unoriginal content there was. People started to write a lot more originally because they were getting feedback from instructors. After that, we then had a new problem, which was that people could go on the internet and buy an essay. So it's called ghostwriting, or you can call it an essay mill. And basically what people were doing was they were going to a website saying, I need a paper, an English paper, it needs to be 3,000 words, and it needs to be around a B grade. Can you write it for me? Someone would write it, you pay them some money, and then they send you the essay. We've already developed technology. We have a product called Turnitin Originality. You might have heard of it. And Turnitin Originality uses artificial intelligence to look at your writing style, to compare it against everything else you've ever submitted to Turnitin. So it will look at your average sentence length, the files that you usually upload. It will look at the images you've uploaded, if they were cropped, if they have been, if something's been done to the images. It will look at, your writing style, and it will look at all of that and it will compare it, and then it will tell the instructor if it recommends that you investigate that student. So it will bring up tons of, over 100 data points. And we've also now done work to check for plagiarism in computer code. So we have a product that looks for that in computer code, and we then also create a grading tool for physics, for mathematics, for engineering and science. So we've done a lot, and we've changed things over the years a lot. And I think, Christina, you may be attending not next week, but the week after. We have the Turnitin User Summit for our users in Kazakhstan, Russia, Uzbekistan, and other regions. If you haven't had an invite, I'll send you on in an email. So it's for instructors. So for instructors, for administrators, for anyone who is staff basically at a university, you can attend and you'll learn a lot about basically what we're doing and what we're going to be doing going forward. And there will be, that's for people who use Turnitin and people who have not used Turnitin before as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, could you please send me a link? I'm very interested. I may send a kind reminder. Yeah, thank you.
No problem. I'll make sure I see you there.
Thank you. Dear participants, do you have any questions to Mr. Gibson?
Oh, I can see questions come through directly. Advice for new Turnitin users. The best thing to do is, if you have questions about how the system works, if you go to help.turnitin.com, so I'll actually put that in the chat for you. So it's, if I can spell the name of the company I work for, that'd be better. And you can select guidance for Feedback Studio, which is the product you use, and it will tell you how it works. There is guidance there for you as a student, for staff, for administrators. It will tell you exactly how you need to use the system. And if you have any other questions, you can just email me and ask me any questions. And I can give you some guidance on that as well. Brilliant. No problem. Well, thanks very much, everyone. I really appreciate all the questions and the attention that everyone's given me today and also on Wednesday. I hope it's been useful. And hopefully next year we'll be able to see you all in person. All right. Thanks for having me, Christina. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Gibson. It was a great opportunity for us. Now I want to give a word to Aynur, Vice Minister of the Ministry of Justice and Security. Aynur, do you hear? Maybe she's not here. Okay.
I'm sorry, my internet was lagging. Thank you so much, Mr. Gibson. Thank you to all the participants who joined in our meeting. If there are any questions, thank you everyone, and goodbye. Have a nice day, everyone.